Hello everyone and welcome into your weekend reading. This is for June 8th and 9th, and we're going to be taking a look at what all energy wants to come through for you from God, Spirit, the Divine, and we're going to then look sign grouping by sign grouping to see what additional messages are wanting to come through for you, what maybe you're going to be faced with in terms of challenges, and how best to overcome that. So let's go ahead and jump in and we'll take a look at the energy for the collective in general coming in for this weekend. All right, we have got the Tower in reverse, we have got the Two of Cups, and we have got the Seven of Wands. So it's going to be kind of a little bit of this, I'll call it gritty type of feeling like things are just off a little bit this weekend. So I know there was the big planetary alignment earlier this week, so there could still be some of that type of energy. People's thresholds are very low right now in terms of feeling agitated and feeling like there's just that sense of things feeling off, because with our Tower in reverse, this is that energy of resisting changes that want to come in. So remember, and this is the example that I use, especially with her being a jello mold, it's kind of the sense of how futile is it to try to prop up an inverted jello mold. Like, you know that it's going to come, I would say crashing down, but with it being jello, it's almost like it's just going to come like bleh, like oozing down through your hands at some point here. With the Two of Cups, and oftentimes this has to do with like partnership and companionship, but in this deck, the thing that I notice with this is that each of the people is in a different cup. And so, yes, they're reaching out, but there's still this sense of, I'm separate, so with the energy would be different if it was the two of them linking arms, or, if it was the Two of Cups, like how you see it in movies where people, they link arms, then they're drinking out of the cups like that. But this is two people that are firmly in their own cup. And yes, they reach across, but then it's like, nope, I'm in my own cup. So there's that sort of energy of, wanting to have some partnership, but still being firmly rooted in you. And then we also have our Seven of Wands energy. And remember, this is kind of this like stamina, perseverance. This almost has a sense of, I was saying this is pretty futile to try to hold up an inverted jello mold. It's almost that along the same lines, like, you're scrubbing your toilet with a toothbrush. How stinking long is that going to take you to scrub your toilet with a toothbrush? Like, it takes all this like perseverance and, I just keep going and going, and it, takes forever to do it. So there's that sort of energy that's coming in at the collective level. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look sign grouping by sign grouping and see what all messages want to come through. And remember, as always with any of these readings, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. This weekend, I'll be doing some additional readings as well. So make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to be alerted as to when the new videos post to the channel. And now the cards are not shuffling very well. So let's go ahead. We will start with our fire signs for this weekend. That is going to be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So let's take a look. What is the challenge that's coming in for our Aries, Leo, Sag? Okay, well, that one did not shuffle in correctly. We have the Two of Cups on that one and the Magician. So in the challenge space, the challenge is that sense of partnership. And it's interesting. So like I said, it would be a different story like here, how they're both firmly in their own cup. And yes, they're reaching across to have a partnership, but it's almost like a strained partnership versus look at this one. The two dogs are, right by each other. I mean, obviously dogs don't link arms. So they're right next to each other. They have, it almost looks like, I would say this has an air of like wedding, romance, because they both have the wreaths on their head. So from a challenge space, some of you fire signs, you could be dealing with the challenge of feeling that sense of partnership within a marriage, for example, because that, to me, with the two of them with the wreaths on their head, just kind of has that feel to it. And then also the challenge here of the Magician. And the Magician, so it's card number 1 in the major arcana, but it's the second card in the major arcana because the Fool is 0. So it's, you know, 2, 2, 2. So there's a lot of this sense of like decisions and what am I doing? And remember, part of this challenge here with the Magician is how do you transmute this heavy energy? How do you transmute these low vibe, dense, yucky feelings into something higher vibe? And that was something I had been ruminating on, and how best to articulate it, because that really, it takes a lot of, it takes a lot of energy to transmute some of those heavy, dense, low vibe energies. So that might be coming up for you this weekend, so just be prepared. The card that jumped for you was the Moon, and let's pull a card as well. The Tower in reverse. Oh my gosh, Aries, Leo, Sag. So this message is, I would say, kind of screaming out to you because of the fact that we have so much duplication. We have the Tower in reverse in both of them. So that's not only the energy for the collective, that's the energy specifically for you. So this push could be driving a lot of this energy for the collective. So as I was saying in the beginning part, the Tower in reverse is about trying to resist letting positive changes come in. You're clinging to something that isn't working. You're clinging to something that needs to come down. And it's kind of that sense of, we've talked about this before on the channel. If your building is, it's a dilapidated building, it is certainly uninhabitable, unusable if it's like an office space type of a building. And at some point, it's either going to come down, either because you choose the time and the method, you hire the team that is going to do the controlled detonation and destruction of the building, or are you waiting for something else? Are you waiting for a natural disaster to come in and boom, and then at that point, it's no longer controlled. You don't necessarily know what direction it's going to fall. You don't know how that's going to look because you're just saying, well, I don't really feel like putting in the time, the money, the energy into having this be a controlled demolition of the building. I'm just going to roll the dice and see how it goes. So that's the energy that's coming through for you, is that you're trying to prop this up. And why is it? Because in the challenge space, you don't know how to transmute this heavy energy. So instead of, when you're seeing signs that this needs to come down, like the Moon energy. Remember, the Moon is also about trickery and illusions and, what is happening by the dark of night that you're not aware of. We did just have the new moon in Gemini. So this is, the beginning of this new cycle. So the new moon is about planting seeds for the future. And it's kind of this whole idea of, your challenge is, how do you allow this tower to happen? And part of it is you need to learn how to transmute those energies a little bit better. You're trying to keep it up. You're trying to keep this structure in place because you feel this sense of, it feels like it's duty that's coming through. Duty for partnership. In this one, like I said, it comes through as marriage, but in this one, it's like very, very separate. Like, I will be your partner when I have to be your partner, but I am firmly planted in doing my own thing. So it's almost like you don't know how to transmute those dense energies. So anytime, the ground starts to shake, it's like, oh, let's hold this building together, because you're not comfortable with how to transmute those energies. So that's the message that's coming through for our fire signs. So let's see what other messages want to come through here. All right, we've got this. Thinking of you, a loving thought, serendipity. And let's pull one more, see if as it relates to this. Gaia, wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual understanding. So some of this is a matter of, as you work on that wisdom and knowledge, you'll become better at that magician energy. You'll become better at transmuting that. And for some of you, there could be somebody else on your mind, something else on your mind, thinking of you. And remember, you chose this lesson. So especially as we're pulling the blues here, you chose this lesson. So stop pushing back against it as the lesson is trying to progress. There's a lesson related to this partnership. To me, this feels like it's a fake partnership. You know, they're smiling and they're leaning across, but it's like, no, I'm still standing in my own cup. So there's that. And then let's take a look at your spirit animal card as well. What spirit animal card is coming through for fire signs? Puffin, partnership. Accept yourself and your colorful personality. Feel confident about being you. You are a joy bringer. Let your community nourish and protect you. Ask for help. Teamwork will give you the best results. So there's a lot about partnership here. And, you know, but that's where a lot of your struggles are coming in. So let's pull another one here. What is the advice from spirit as it relates to this tower that you're trying to hold up? What is the advice from spirit? We've got the 5 of Swords in reverse, and we've got the Queen of Swords in reverse. So the 5 of Swords in reverse is about resolution and, you know, compromise and kind of like a sense of reconciliation. So like, how do you find a compromise here? Because right now this just isn't working. And then this is also this like bitter, the Queen of Swords in reverse has this bitter energy, to it. And so when we think about this, it's like this, criticism. So if that's coming through as advice from spirit, it's almost like, you know, rather than just fighting with this person, you need to figure out what do you need to do to just move on. So there's a little bit of that, you know, when it's talking about having the energy of cruelty or bitterness, it's, you know, I would say related to this tower in reverse, that you keep trying to hold it up. You keep trying to hold it up. And it's almost like you need to take a little bit more of like a distant, and when I say bitter or cruel approach, like, you know what, just let it fall. Just let it fall, because this need or this urge to keep holding it together isn't working, because this partnership, like, you chose this lesson. You chose this lesson here. And it's like it's a fake partnership. It's a false partnership, but it's going to continue until you realize you've learned this lesson and here, this needs to change. So that is the message that's coming through for our fire signs for this weekend. Is, you know, your challenge is to work on that magician energy. How do you transmute this high or this low level energy into higher level energy? How do you move out of this low vibe, so that you can actually find the resolution and move on? Because you're resisting a positive change that wants to come in. So how do you transmute that to allow this change to come in that needs to come in? So that is your mission for this weekend, is try to connect with Gaia, with nature, with your higher self, to work on how do you transmute these instead of getting sucked into somebody else's, you know, instead of getting sucked into their cup. How do you stay in your own cup and just say, you know what, this is how, you know, I need to do me, you do you. So that is the message for our fire signs. Next is our earth signs, which is our Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. So let's take a look at what all is coming through for you. So looking first at the challenge space. What is the challenge space for Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, please? We have the Sun in reverse, feeling locked out of your blessings, and the 3 of Cups in reverse. So in the challenge space, the 3 of Cups in reverse is about loneliness and reclusiveness. So your challenge is that you're trying to prop up something, but you're feeling locked out of your blessings and you're feeling lonely. So let's take a look then and see what else is coming through for Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. What else do we have? Wheel of Fortune. So this is destined and fated. So this whole experience is destined and fated. And when you pull the major arcana cards, this, you know, you propping up something that isn't working and resisting this positive change is keeping you locked out of your blessings. And that is the lesson that you're needing to work on right now, is how do you allow for positive change to come in? How do you, how do you move past this sense of like persistence? You know, so it's persistence and teamwork, but like I said, the Two of Cups in this deck feels less like teamwork and more like a fake front of teamwork, since they're in opposite cups. Rising above, clarity, freedom, and solution. So how do you rise above this, like propping it up? And especially since in your challenge, it's this feeling of locked out of your blessings, and with your Seven of Wands, that sense of persistence and resilience, and almost like an air of it being like futile. How do you rise above that to see what is the destined and fated portion of this? What is the big picture lesson that I'm supposed to be learning here? Oops, that one flew out. Relief shall come quickly. Let's pull one since that one was a jumper. Tap into your creative side. If you've been cut off from your creativity and from that sense of flow, that's something to look at. How do you get back to that? Because that creativity comes from a place of more like 5D inspiration instead of like the nitty gritty 3D, I have to scrub a toilet with a toothbrush. So if you can tap into that, it helps feel like your cup runneth over. So that will help give you a better sense of fulfillment. Then links, keeper of secrets. Take time out from the world and be the observer. Nothing can deceive you when you trust your knowing. You see others' secrets and keep them sacred. In silence and solitude, you will find your strength. So some of this, you know, like trust your knowing. If you feel like somebody's keeping a secret, they probably are. So some people might be trusting you with their secrets. Some people might be trying to keep secrets from you. So, so look towards this, you know, rising above. How do you rise above this, you know, this 3D gritty energy that's coming in, and really tap into your creativity, tap into your soul growth portion, and look at what is the lesson here? What is the big picture lesson here that I need to be focusing on? So that is the energy that was coming in for our earth signs. So now we are on to our water signs. Let's take a look at what we have for you, water signs, and that is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Let's see, what do we have in the challenge space for Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces? Six of Wands and the High Priestess in reverse. So in the challenge space, we have that sense of victory and fulfillment is one of your challenges. And then in also in the challenge space is kind of feeling cut off from your intuition. So the High Priestess is that inner knowing, that divine feminine, that higher wisdom. And so it's a challenge for you to connect with that because you feel like this victory just isn't coming. But part of it is because you continue to prop up something that is not for you, and you continue to prop up something that needs to go so that you can have something better coming in for you. But as long as you're focusing your energy on holding tight to something that's not working, you're not allowing space within your experience for something better to come in. Then we have Judgment in reverse. And this has to do with not learning the lesson that you're supposed to learn. So if this is the final exam in your class, this is like, nah, you're still not quite getting some of the concepts of what you were supposed to learn. So that's why you continue to keep propping this up. Both of those will, I'll put it this way, they'll turn at the same time. Once you realize what the lesson is, you will allow that change to come in. Once you fully realize, oh, wait, this is why this is happening. You may not like it, but once you can acknowledge why it's happening, what the purpose is, and that having that sense of everything's happening for my highest good, and having that faith, like once you can overcome this and have that faith in the divine, trust that things are working out the way that they're supposed to, then you'll see some movement. Enchanted forest, mystery, magic, and excitement. Some of it with the forest, you know, in this one, you can see the moon above the tree there. And this, I mean, it looks like a tree, but it can also look like a path, like a main path with like lots of little branches out. So with enchanted forest, like there's mystery and there's magic. You may not be able to see exactly where you're going yet, but having that faith in the divine, in the plan, that things are coming together for you, even if you don't understand how exactly that's happening. Having that faith that is happening will help you be able to get to that point of feeling like there is a victory. All right. And then don't confuse chemistry with compatibility, and then decide where you want to go. So this don't confuse chemistry with compatibility, especially if this is in regards to a relationship that you're really trying to keep it together because, oh my gosh, I've got such great chemistry with the person. Be careful, because it may be an issue if you don't actually have compatibility. So the difference being, you know, what are your long-term goals? How do you view life? What, you know, those big, I'll call them not sexy issues. Are you on the same page as the other person or not? I mean, just because you have great chemistry, like, oh, you love hanging out with them and, you know, they're really hot and they're great. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a good long-term partner for you. And with these colors, like being so perfectly the colors within this jello mold, I think for some of you water signs, it's a matter of, are you holding on to a relationship that it really doesn't have what it takes to go the distance. And then these two cards are going together here with decide where you want to go in this magical forest. Like, decide where you want to go, because otherwise it's hard to know, you know, if you're viewing this as a path and there's all these branches off to the side, how do you know which one to take if you don't know where you want to go? And not to say you have to have everything absolutely planned out, you know, I want to go exactly here at exactly this time, but do you have a sense of, this is generally where I want my life to go, because you need to be able to evaluate your decisions against where it is that you want to go. All right, raccoon, inventor. Decide on what you really want. So decide on what you really want. You have the ingenuity to claim it. Avoid being the trickster and practice integrity. You have many roles and can juggle them well. So again, this is about, where do you want to go? You're in a position where, especially if you stop trying to force something where maybe you had great chemistry, but the compatibility is not there. So that doesn't mean just try harder to be more compatible. It could be a matter of like kind of facing the music that maybe you're just not compatible. But kind of decide where you want to go and then evaluate your choices and your current position against where is it that you want to go. So that is your message for this weekend, water signs. And last but not least, we are on to our air signs, which is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Let's see what all messages are coming through for you. And we are going to first take a look at what are the challenges that we have here for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. 5 of Pentacles and 10 of Wands. So in the challenge space for you, it's this sense of just struggle. You know, actually both of these cards are about struggle. And kind of, you know, 10 of Wands has that sense of exhaustion and, oh, you know, you're hauling around all of these wands, hauling around all this baggage. In this deck, you can see it as well, though. You know, the dog's hauling around all this baggage, but look, he's almost home, almost there. But it's been a long journey. It's been a lot of hauling around with this baggage. So that's a challenge. And then on the 5 of Pentacles, it's this sense of hardship. And struggle. And with this, this as well as in the traditional tarot deck, there's 2 figures. The traditional tarot deck, it's the 2, I guess, beggars or homeless people outside of like a cathedral. This deck, it just has one figure, but it's almost like there's been so much struggle and hardship within, like you're struggling together with somebody. So it's not necessarily like the figures don't have their backs to each other. So it's not necessarily that they're fighting with each other. They're both struggling, but that's really kind of weighing down on you right now, air signs, is this sense of struggle and, just exhaustion. You've been carrying around these wands for a long time, and it's just a sense of exhaustion, especially as it relates to, you have this Tower in reverse. So you've been propping something up, and that takes a lot of work. We have the Star in reverse. So there's this energy of like pessimism that's coming in, and, disappointment, and, timing is just a struggle for you. So that's kind of that energy, and especially struggling together. And it's almost like, you're both struggling because you're separate. You're not in the same cup right now. So let's see what other messages are coming through here for air signs. All right. Peace, dissolving unwanted or disturbing thoughts. How do you let that peace come in? So some of it is stop propping up something that's not working. Stop continuing to pour energy into avoiding changes. So she, with that Tower, like I said, an inverted jello mold, it's coming down. So stop sacrificing your peace just to keep a structure in place if the structure itself is not bringing you peace. And then take more time to meditate. Especially, as I said, like going into this weekend, there's, people's thresholds right now are really low in terms of like feeling agitated, feeling just like kind of that gritty type of energy. So take more time to yourself this weekend. Take more time to meditate. Ask your guides for help. Ask your guides, what is the next step? Not, where am I going to be 3 years from now, like way off down the road, but kind of just like, guides, archangels, God, whoever you call upon in your times of need. What is the next step? Just the very next step. What is, baby steps is what you need to take right now. You don't have to figure all of it out, but just what is the next step? Then we have Cougar, assertive. In silence, you find power. Claim your leadership role and take action. You know where to go and what to do. You have the courage and confidence to succeed. So some of this is going along with this, take more time to meditate. So it's in silence, you find power. You can find that, and that will help you break out of some of this sense of hopelessness. So what's the advice from Spirit in terms of, what to do about this feeling of being burned out? I'm going to ask for just one more card here. What else do you need to know? Six of Swords. So this is a card about moving on, a positive change, traveling. So kind of moving on from feeling this need to prop something up. And otherwise, you're just going to keep looping with this heavy energy. So it is about moving on and like traveling and just letting yourself, and look at this. I love the way that she's just like waving as she's walking away. But it's a positive change, right? So kind of leaving behind, it starts out with this face. I don't know if you can see it very well, but this one, I'm trying to see. So, this first face is scowling, then the next one's like, and then the last one's like, yay. So kind of moving on from looking at this direction of scowling, like these two, it's kind of looking backwards. This one is looking forward. Like, how do I leave this heavy energy behind? How do I leave this dense, heavy energy that frankly is making me feel kind of hopeless? How do I leave it behind and move into something that's bringing me peace? So, this lady, color-wise, is matching up here. she's walking towards the peace. She's choosing peace and choosing a scenario that's going to bring her into alignment, that's going to bring her that peace instead of, this gritty energy that's, kind of fueling some of this frustration that's, because this is the challenge, is that's where you've been. So how do you move on from that? And for some of you, it might be leaving a job, leaving a relationship. But a lot of times too, sometimes the tower moments aren't necessarily giant physical changes. They're mental changes too. So it could also be, as you take time to meditate and you'll figure this out, or get some clarity, ask your guides for more clarity. Are you moving on from the entire 3D situation, or are you moving on from what's going on up here about it? Are you thinking too much? Are you whatever? So that's the message that's coming through for our air signs. So I hope that you found this to be helpful. And as always, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. And I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.